Welcome to iRise Conversations with Joan. Welcome to iRise Conversations with Joan. My name is Joan Nwosu, and I'm the award-winning author of the book iRise, The 10 Secrets to Getting Up When Life Knocks You Down. Blended families are more popular now more than ever. And as you can imagine, this can add complexities and strain to relationships, which already come with their fair share of blending lives together. With people getting married or remarried later in life, the chances of being in a blended family is pretty high. So this means that we need to learn and understand how to navigate this and build the homes and relationships that we truly desire. Avoiding this so-called baggage, as most people refer to it, might just be robbing you of a blissful, fulfilled life. We want to explore how you can navigate being in a blended family and still have the fulfillment of a loving relationship. So whether you're already dating, whether you're looking to date, or maybe you're one of those who has completely given up on love, you want to stay tuned today as we take you on a love journey. Our guest today is Nicole Odom-Hardnett. She is an entrepreneur, a business leader, an author, a coach, and a mentor, specializing in the family and social dynamics of success. She started her entrepreneurial pursuit as the founder of Focus Point Solutions in 2010, which was initially founded as a transitional housing facility, but its chain of transitional projects has grown into outpatient substance abuse treatment programs and mental health centers, with 4 centers in Maryland. That is phenomenal. Nicole has been a blended family, a bonus family mom since 2013. Her blended family includes her husband, her 2 biological children, and 5 bonus children. She is passionate about moms and families, blended and traditional. She enjoys sharing her experiences about blending, marriage, parenting, and business. She believes all families, blended or traditional, can beat the odds and weather the storms of marriage and family life. One of her favorite sayings is, hang on, hold on tight. She has authored 3 books. Her first book, being Blended to Perfection, is partially based on obstacles that she faced as she brings the families together in the same house while dealing with inside and outside forces determined to see the union fail. After a rough start and hard work, her family is blended to perfection. Welcome, Nicole, to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's definitely a pleasure to be here this morning.
Yes, your journey it sounds so exciting, and I'm sure that a lot of people are just so keen to get into the topic. But before we get there, take us back to your own journey in life, starting off as a military kid living in different countries. Tell us a bit about that journey from how you started to where you are today.
Oh, wow. So being a military child was a little tough for me at first. Moving constantly was a challenge. Once I got settled and situated with my friends and in the schools, it was time to go. So, but, in hindsight, it made me the person I am today. I'm not afraid of a challenge. Nothing at all really scares me. So in business, it's great. I'm always up for a challenge. I may be a little nervous in the beginning, but I'm like, okay, if I don't do this, then I'll never know, how it's going to turn out. And, the same with the blended family situation. I didn't think anything of it. I had absolutely no hesitation, but jumping into it, when I'm in it, it was like, oh, what did I get myself into? I was like, okay, I can't believe I signed up for this. I have 2 older brothers. I have no sisters. I was a tomboy, growing up. So I played with the boys outside. I had a couple of girlfriends, but not that many. So having girls in the house was something totally different. But I have not come across yet a challenge that I have not been afraid of. And I think it's because we moved around so much. And, I always had something new or a new place, a new situation in front of me. So that prepared me, my childhood prepared me for different situations.
Wow. And it's very interesting how sometimes when you're going through your childhood, you're like, oh, why me? Why this family? Well, why is all this happening to me? Why do I have to keep moving? But then it's building you into who you're meant to be.
Right.
It's interesting how all of that has now morphed into, your pillar of who you are, really the fabric of who you are, and guiding you and helping you to get through all the different challenges that life has to offer.
Right, because a few years ago, my husband and I, we both had been in Maryland for, the majority of our lives, and we picked up and we moved halfway across the country to Texas.
Oh,
He had major anxiety about it, like serious anxiety. And I'm like, okay, let's do it.
yeah, exactly. Most people, yeah, but you're like, no, I've been there, done that many times.
I'm like, I'll plan everything, no problem. You just do whatever. I got this.
Awesome. Okay, so you're so many things. Author, entrepreneur, business leader, coach, mentor, and then blended family with 5 bonus children. How do you keep it together? How do you manage it all?
It's really like, I feel like almost like a circus clown, juggling.
Ouch.
No, it's like a juggling act. I just find a way to do everything. I think, honestly, I just want to live a full life. I don't think there's anything that I can't do. I look at life and I say, I want to live life to the fullest. I look at things and I want to say, if you don't try, you'll never know.
That is true. You never know.
You never know. I know that sometimes I have to say no to things, but I just don't know what to say no to. I'm one of those women, like my best friend, she looks at my purse. I'm one of those women that carry the big purse. And she says, oh my gosh, your purse is so heavy. And, I have to say, I just don't know what's not important.
Yeah. I feel you.
What's not important, then I can carry a smaller purse.
I know.
But I think everything is important.
I don't know how people who carry the little, I don't know how they do it. My bag's always heavy.
Right.
Everything's in there. Always
because I'm responsible for so much. So when I get a phone call, they're like, well, can you give me this information? And I'm like, okay, on which kid? So I have to carry things around with me. I have businesses, so you may need a tax ID number or an NPI number or a kid's social security number.
Gotta carry it all.
Right. You have to be prepared.
Yeah. I love what you said about, and I think that's a huge mindset that a lot of people maybe are not really focused on, believing that you can achieve anything. Mm-hmm. I think that is the right mindset and attitude to have. So you don't know if things are going to work out, but you never know till you try. Exactly. So just keeping that mindset, I can do everything and anything. At least I'm going to try. Right. I think that's a phenomenal mindset for people to
right.
hold on to.
And if you fail, then it's like, okay, what did I learn from that process?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, blended families. So I don't even know that I knew about that term when I was in my 20s, but now it's so popular. So what is a blended family? Just for people who may not know.
A blended family is when, say, 2 people or even 1 person has a child and they come together and they bring these children of outside relationships together and they live as one. Mm-hmm. And now it's just put them in a blender. You're all mixed up now. And you're co-parenting each of the children.
Mm-hmm. So, and I can see how that can be a little bit challenging, because even with just a single person meets a single person, it's still tough. So what are
Right.
some of the common challenges in your experience, or maybe based on people that your personal experience and people that you've spoken to? What are some of those common challenges in blended families, or trying to blend a family?
People have different parenting styles.
Gotcha.
Some people believe in fussing at the children. Some people believe in the timeout principles. Some people, shut down. Some people ignore their children. Some people let the children run the households. There's so many things that I've seen, I've heard.
Yeah.
There are a number of different things that are going on. Some people they have the children in the household, but the more dominant parent is outside of the household, and they're the ones who are responsible for. They are the more disciplinarian
Yeah.
of the children.
So yeah, and I can see that. So would you say that parenting style is one of the critical things that anyone who's going into a blended family should be on the lookout for?
Definitely, and that is a big conversation that people should have when they're in that dating or getting to know you phase. That is definitely not a one-time conversation.
Mm.
If you're looking to blend your families, you should talk about that. You should talk about what's your current um, parenting style. What's the parenting style going to be when the two of you get together? What are the expectations? In my situation, I brought boys into the equation. My husband brought girls into the equation, even though he had two older boys, but they were in college already, so they didn't come and live in the household. So I had expectations, and he brought expectations of me. In my situation, I was looking for someone that was going to help me raise and discipline my boys. I was looking for raising my boys into men, strong men.
Mhm.
And so I needed a man, or wanted a man that I could trust with my children, and make sure that he was going to be able to discipline my boys respectfully and in a strong and courteous mannerism.
Mhm.
Meaning, if my boys did something wrong, he wasn't going to go all the way to the left. With the discipline style,
Yeah.
my boys weren't going to be standing outside in the rain and he couldn't come in.
Military style, come on. You grew up in
Right.
the military.
That whole military style of discipline, and he wanted someone, because it was so odd that both of us had exes that were not totally involved in our children's lives the way that we thought that parents should have been. So we were looking for other people to, I guess, pick up the slack
Yes. Mm.
and help raise our children the way we thought that they should have by that opposite sex.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So that's what we thought were missing in our children's lives.
Yeah. Very interesting how those kind of conversations probably don't come up for a lot of people. They don't even have this.
And that, sometimes that is what's missing. And your children are very important, because we all love, I would hope, our children, and we want them to grow into respectful, responsible adults. But, some of us have to do it by ourselves, and some of us don't. But I would hope that you would want a partner that can, help you out in raising your children and give them what is lacking or what you cannot possibly offer.
Mm-hmm.
And there were things that me as a woman could not offer or suggest that a man could give.
Yeah.
because there were things that I was doing for teenage or boys that were growing. And one was a teenager and one was growing into getting ready to grow into a teenager that I was doing as a woman. You know, I'm hollering and screaming. He's like, okay, they're not receiving that. It's going in one and out the other. There are certain other things that you need to do or you should do that would help them a lot better, that they would be more receptive to.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had that type of conversation, and he's like, this is what you need to do. Mm. And he showed me, and he did things that definitely helped the youngest, because he was in the house a longer time with the younger one, that if you could only see him now.
Wow.
He is an absolute gentleman.
Wow. That's phenomenal. Okay, so question for people who are now thinking, okay, it sounds all well and good. I've never had to have this conversation. I don't even know what I want. I don't know those gaps that you're talking about. What would be the best place for someone who's looking, or maybe considering someone who already has kids, to start? Because again, we like to see ourselves as perfect. Right. Oh, no, I got it. I can raise my kid by myself. I don't need anybody. So where do we get started on that knowledge about what are the gaps and what should I be looking for in a potential partner?
First they should take them out of the equation and look at their children and be really realistic about the situation, because absolutely no one is perfect.
My kids love me to death. I'm the best person.
Because everybody needs something. So there is a reason why, some people don't feel like they need a significant other, and that's fine. That's completely fine. My mother was one of those people who chose not to ever remarry or date or anything like that, and that was fine. That's her prerogative. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the children suffer with that. Give them a mentor, if that's the case. And that's perfectly fine. Do your homework on getting a mentor. So if it is a boy in the house, they have something, because, I thought that I could raise, after I divorced my first husband, I thought that I could raise my boys to be men. There's only so much that I can do. Yes, I can teach them to cook and clean and do those things to take care of themselves. And I feel I did a good job with that. But there's things that a boy needs to become a man. And I saw that, and I completely understood that early on. And I did not want to be by myself. And I did not want a certain type of man. So for those women who do not want to be by themselves and they want a certain type of person, you need to work on yourself first. Love yourself first before you can love someone else. So I had to work on me. I did a lot of work on me. I dated myself. I loved myself. I had to get to know who I am. And already loved my kids. And then I was ready for a man, because there were a lot of things that I realized, a lot of trauma that I had that was preventing me to stay in a healthy, happy relationship. And once I worked through that, then I was ready for a relationship. Then I was ready to get things out, to find the person that was right for me and my children.
Wow, that's deep. That is so deep, because it's so much easier to just blame the other person. But
right.
I'm hearing you say you've got to do the inner work. You have to heal from your past.
You have to, because if not, you're going to pick the same type of junk. And it's going to be over and over again.
Yeah.
And when you do it over and over again, your kids are going to see you going through these relationships over and over again, and you'll be in these blended over and over again, and it's not going to work.
Yeah, it's not.
And you're going to blame that person, but it's really you. You're the common denominator.
Ouch.
and you know, I had to realize that luckily, you know, my kids didn't see it, you know, like that. But it was me. I was the one with the problem. And, you know, I just kept ignoring it and pushing it to the side and pushing it to the side. But once I worked on me and knew what type of person I was and what type of person I needed, because I was a strong individual. I could take care of myself. I could take care of everyone else. But who was really going to take care of me? I knew I needed a strong-minded man to deal with me. I was a force to be reckoned with.
I love that honesty, because so a lot of women are like, no, I'm just so feminine. No, but you're calling it, I'm a strong woman. I need a stronger man.
Yes.
Take care of me. So know yourself. A lot of people don't know themselves. So I really love what you're saying. Rather than just jumping in, same relationships you've been in the past, the same cycle over and over again, take a break, figure out who you are, love who you are before you start, figure out what you need before you start looking for a potential partner.
Right, because it's a lot of strong women out here, and you can't go for, my ex-husband was a very nice guy. And there's nothing wrong with the nice guy. And my current husband, he is a nice guy, but, you know, I know how far to push him. You know, I know. And, you know, he's going to snap back and he's like, Nicole, hold up. And I'm like, okay, I'll stop right there. Like, he's the man. He makes the decisions and we can make the decisions together.
Yeah.
I know I needed that type of man. In my last relationship, I made all the decisions and it was fine.
I feel like you're speaking to me, because that was my own experience as well in my first marriage, where I made all the decisions. I was the breadwinner. I was the go-to person. It was fine. It was my way or the highway, only because my partner wouldn't step up. He was a nice guy.
Right.
And so, like for some women, the nice guy works for you. Good on you. Just be sure that you've done that inner work to really figure out what you need. And if what you need is a nice guy who would just agree to everything that you have to say and just follow your lead, then that's fine. But if you're a strong woman who's looking for a stronger man, then just be aware. Just know that this is what you want and that's what works. Someone that can say, okay, that's enough now. And you'd be like, yeah, okay.
Exactly. And so, you know, I wrote the first book about the blended families, but I wrote the second book, my dating book.
Yeah. How to develop magnetic-like attraction.
Yeah. So that was the reasoning behind writing my second book, because you have to get prepared for your relationship. Mm-hmm. If not, you're going to just keep on picking the same people.
Yeah. So tell us though, because your book does say how to develop magnetic-like attraction. Mm-hmm. What are some of those things that are magnetic to men?
You know, there's a chemistry between people. Like my husband and I, our chemistry, our conversation, we were both honest, because I was straight up with him. I said, you know, basically I told him, you know, I'm a force to be reckoned with. You have to come, my exact words was, you have to come correct if you're dealing with me. Basically, there's no BS with me. You know, I put all cards on the table. It is what it is. And so I think when you're in a relationship or you're dating, there are a lot of signs there when people aren't honest with you, and we as women choose to ignore them. We brush it off. So that's your chance to do away with the conversation or the relationship right there. But because we like this person, or we think we like this person, we ignore it, we keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he says he's going to call you at 6 and he makes up some excuse that really doesn't sound right in our, we know it doesn't sound right, but we keep on going, and he does it again.
You make excuses for him. You're like,
Right. And we keep on. So I paid close attention in this relationship when we were communicating. I listened to background. I did everything that I was supposed to do, because I was like, I'm not going to be duped this time, because I had been duped several times before, because I had done my homework. I had dated myself. I said the next relationship, I was going to pay attention. I had made my list of what type of person I wanted, and I wasn't going to settle for anything less. Like I knew I wasn't going to settle for a smoker, because I'm not a smoker. I don't like people who smoke. I wanted a God-fearing man. I wanted someone who was tall, and, there's all these things. He wasn't 100% perfect in everything on the list, but I wanted someone that was going to respect me and my kids and all this type of stuff. So I just made sure that I paid attention. And I said, if someone, I thought he was lying or anything like that, I was going to check him on it right then and there and ask questions. Whereas before, I made it let it slide, and I wasn't going to do that. So I didn't have any of those problems with him. We were 100% honest. So that's what made this one different than anyone else. Because we said we were going to be honest no matter what. And we started as completely friends before we put any physical into this relationship. So that's what was different. There were no expectations. We put that on the table, because he asked me, what are your expectations? I said, I have none, because I don't even know you. So it was different from the start. I approached it completely different than any other. And this went on for quite some time.
How long is quite some time?
I think it's about 60 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just really getting to know the person and just going through that checklist and just watching, just observing.
Just watching.
Yeah, because a lot of women in the first week, they're already in love. They're already thinking about the wedding day. What am I going to wear? How am I going to look? How many children are we going to have? But you're saying just slow it down. First of all, have your checklist. So after you've dated yourself and you kind of know what you want, what you're looking for, then have your list. And then just go through that list while you're getting to know the person. Just take your time. Don't be in a hurry to get physical and start planning the wedding. Just take your time and observe. And don't push. Just don't push over or push away or ignore certain signs, certain behavioral signs, because they will happen. But you're also saying, call it out, check it, right? When it happens, just like, hey, this is not what I want, or what's going on here. I think a lot of women can really learn from that, because we're not raised to be that confrontational or that outspoken when it comes to dealing with men. I find anyway that a lot of women just shy away. Oh, I don't want to embarrass him. I don't want to call him out. Oh, I don't. But no, you're saying, no, this is your chance to check it.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to ask questions. You have to have that conversation, whether it be uncomfortable or not, because you want to know what he says, what he does, and what the excuse is. If not, it's not going to go anywhere. So our connection was actually, it was business. That was the conversation. And then we were able to have just general conversation about family, about traveling, just crazy stuff. We could talk about anything at all. And that was it. We just talked. And sometimes we would talk for like 3 and 4 hours on the phone, just talking. Mm-hmm. So that was the I guess the magnification between the two of us. And I remember telling him, I feel like, when you're a teenager, your teenagers are in the room with the door shut. That's what they're doing. They're talking on the phone.
Yeah.
So that's what I found it felt like. I felt like one of those little giddy little schoolgirls.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So advice to people is talk
Right.
as much as you can, ask questions, get to know each other. Don't be too quick, because I think that when women when they get physical, like it's gone. It's like the brain just goes away,
Right.
and then you're not asking the right questions anymore. You're not having the right conversations. You're not building a friendship. And
Right.
there's nothing to talk about.
Right. Because before marriage, you have to have a friendship. In marriage, you have to be friends.
Yeah.
If you're not friends, then what do you have? There's no foundation. Your husband or your wife, they should be your best friend.
Know all your secrets.
Right. They should know all your secrets.
Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about standards. So first of all, how do you create standards for yourself or your relationship? And how do you make sure that you don't lose yourself or you don't start dishonoring your standards in a relationship?
Well, you should have, you shouldn't lose yourself, because you still should have your you time, things that you like to do. Like my husband, he still likes golf. Like he's out playing golf right now with his friends. So things that I like to do, I shop, or I have my spa days, or I have my lunch with my girlfriends and things like that. So we have our things that we do separate. So we do a lot of things together, but we still have our separate times when we're apart.
Okay.
Now, as far as our standards, when you're meeting someone, there are things that you like and you don't like. Like I said, I don't like smokers.
Mm-hmm.
You should stick to your guns with things that you don't like. If you know you don't like a smoker, you should not settle for someone who smokes. If you know that you want a person, take for instance, one of my clients, she is an avid churchgoer, but she settled for an atheist. That's lowering her standards. To never do that, because it's not going to work. You're not going to be equally yoked. I just don't, and it didn't work in that situation, because it was a really bad situation. The conversation was bad. Their arguments were even worse. When someone disrespects their mother in that situation, because they're not in this situation, wasn't a God-fearing person, it's bad. If you want a God-fearing person, you should stick with that. If you have your standards and if you know what you want, you should really stick with things or a person that you want. Certain things are bendable. If you want someone that's tall, then, but if a shorter guy is treating you good and respecting you well, then I would go with it. But other things, not so much.
Yeah. And some people might start to confuse it with the whole opposites attract.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, opposites attract, but there are certain things you're saying, certain standards that you know
Yeah,
are key to you. They're your core. They're part of your core values.
right.
Shouldn't look over those ones. You should make sure that you uphold them and you find the same in a partner, because those will be the bane of all your arguments in the future.
Exactly. There are things that, you're just not going to see eye to eye with. And if you are certain things with money, it depends on the level of it. My husband, like I'm a shopper. My husband, not so much, but I'm not a shopper to the point where I'm going to spend my last and not pay the mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that do that all they do is spend, and they don't care about paying the bills. So those are conversations you need to have also, and know what type of person you're dealing with. You shouldn't have two people that like to spend. Someone has to save.
Someone has got to save and invest.
So you have to have
right,
you have to have a responsible person in the relationship. So that's why the communication is very important. And you also have to have someone who is a little more outgoing in the relationship, or else the home is going to be extremely quiet and no one's going to talk about anything. And before you know it, you'll probably have a note on your door or something. With someone coming to repossess everything in your home, if no one likes to discuss anything or no one handles situations that need to be dealt with in the relationship.
Okay, so I love that. For some things you need to find someone who's exactly like you in terms of your values, but then in other things you now need to find someone who's opposite to you that can complement your, let's call them weaknesses, and just make sure that everything is taken care of, that the home is taken care of. And it's interesting that you say quiet people, because I know a lot of introverts, they don't want to date extroverts because they're like, you're too much, you're too extra, you're all over the place, your energy is too high. But maybe that's what you need. Or else, if it's two introverts who like to do nothing and just read books, then the house is going to be boring, it's going to be quiet, and maybe things will not get done because no one wants to talk about anything.
Right.
So I think it all goes back to what we were saying earlier. Really do the inner work. Really find out who you are. Be honest with yourself about who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, every way you need somebody else to augment and help you, and things that you also can offer to somebody else. So I think it still goes back to that inner work and creating that checklist before you dive into a relationship.
Exactly.
Okay, so I meet a lot of single women in their late 30s, 40s, 50s who keep saying, they're no man, there's nowhere to find them. All the good men are taken. Oh, geez, I'm tired of all these men, because again, it's one toxic relationship after another. How can women who are ready, where do people even go to find men these days?
Oh my gosh. That's a really good question. I've heard people are going on to the dating apps. I looked up and found mine in a bar. It was just by coincidence. It was in the middle of a day. Wow. I was meeting a former coworker. I looked absolutely terrible. When I say terrible, I had no makeup on, hair was all over my head. And I asked him who is going to be in this bar, because it was a small local, privately owned bar. And he was like, oh, no one's going to be there. It's the middle of the day. And when I got there, no one was there. He didn't lie about that. But like 30, 45 minutes later, all these gentlemen walked in suits. And there he was.
Wow. Sounds like a fairy tale, because these days, yeah, the chances of it, and it doesn't mean it doesn't still happen, but it's just,
Right.
I think again, it just goes back to, look, the mindset, just prepare yourself, be ready, because you never know where you meet the person.
Right. You absolutely never know. So, where, I have no idea. I can tell you there are a lot of men, and there are a lot of conferences in Florida.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, conferences.
Yeah,
At least
conferences.
they're like-minded, at least.
Yeah, there are a lot of conferences in Florida, I can tell you that. But I don't know, just anywhere, because it was just, and I'm not a bar goer. I've never been a bar goer. I just happened to be meeting a colleague there. You can meet anywhere. I heard someone met their husband on the highway. Yes. Absolutely crazy. Met him on the highway, and then they met again. They had their sister find the woman on some type of social media, like a year later. Yes.
Wow.
Ridiculous. Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm guessing just be prepared. You can
Just
meet
be
the
prepared.
person everywhere. Just go with an open mind, knowing that there is no scarcity. They are available if you so desire, and just
That's
do
right.
the inner work. Like, focus on what you can control, which is yourself, doing the inner work
Yes.
and preparing and coming up with that checklist for yourself, what you need in a relationship.
All I can say is when you are ready, the universe will send you the person that you that's right for you.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Okay, so you do have a book called The 30 Days to Extraordinary Love.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about, and how can my listeners grab a copy today?
It's on my website, talktonicole.com. It's a day-by-day guide of preparing yourself. So it's 30 days, so step-by-step each day of things you can do each day to prepare yourself for extraordinary love.
Wow, that is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
That is phenomenal, because we've been talking about extraordinary love. Your story is extraordinary. We don't hear too many of those today. So having this step-by-step guide that can help women or men who are seeking that kind of love, I think that's phenomenal. So they just go on your website, talkwithnicole.com, and just download the free resource.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, I look forward to seeing you all at the end of your 30-day journey. Let's see what extraordinary love you can attract into your life. So finally, Nicole, what advice do you have for people who have gotten into blended families and didn't do the work and are struggling and thinking, this is not working, I want to get out? How can they salvage that relationship?
Definitely don't let it go. Well, of course, you can always contact me. The best way to get in contact with me would be going to my website, talktonicole.com. You can always reach me at LinkedIn at Nicole Odom-Hardnett. But you should always give it another shot. Don't give up. Families are everything to me. At first I thought about giving up because it was a challenge that I definitely had not faced. I definitely went through some depression with mine, because in the beginning, it was a 2-year journey for me to get everything situated, halfway situated. I didn't have anyone to talk to. None of my friends or family went through my situation of a blended family. So I did talk to a therapist. So therapy is another way you can go. Hopefully everyone in the household is in therapy, because that's something we did. I didn't know about coaching at the time. So coaching, therapy, please try that before you give up. don't give up your family. There's a reason you chose the family that you did. So remember those beginning reasons why you chose your family, and try everything that you possibly can before you end your journey.
Wow. So hang on, hold on tight.
Right.
Do not let
Yeah.
the family go.
Because it's definitely a bumpy ride. That's why I say hang on, hold on tight, because you know, it was full of the ups and downs and twists and turns for me. And I didn't know when it was going to end, but finally it did, and it got a whole lot better for me. And you know, I am where I am now, which is in a much, much better place.
That's amazing. So there's hope at the end through
Yes.
all the ups and the bumps and the hurdles. And again, what you said about not having the right type of support, because not many people have been through this. And so
Right.
you're just on your own trying to figure it out. But you found a way, you found therapy. And I think that's something that a lot of people still don't embrace. They're like, therapy, there's nothing wrong with me. Yeah, there's something wrong.
Right. Yeah, they look at it like, you know, it's a problem, or, you know, what people are going to think about them.
Yes.
But it's not like that. It's something that can give you some ideas and some different perspectives and ways of looking at things, and you'll come out feeling a lot better on the other end.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're going through any struggles within your blended family, you can reach out to Nicole, or you can look for a therapist that can help you navigate this process, because at the end, it's going to come out beautiful. So you want to take the time now, invest in yourself, invest in your family, your blended family, and make sure that you work through it. Do not just let it go and throw it away, saying, no, I'm done. This is not for me. No, your bliss might be at the end of all the turmoil. So hang on, hold on tight.
Right.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for being here with us today. That was completely amazing. Lots and lots of heavy topics, because again, blended families are not something that are largely spoken about, but it's becoming more and more common today. So thank you for all the wise words and trying to help people navigate this journey in life, this one which now impacts so many people, different family members, and some people even have pets. It might be a pet issue too. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And for everyone who's listening, don't forget to go to the website, talk to Nicole, and download the 30 Days to Extraordinary Love, because we all deserve to have extraordinary love in our life.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all my listeners for joining us this week. I will see you same time next week on iRise Conversations with Joan. Thanks for listening.